Hi guys, this is Paul from Personal Development Unplugged, and something got me the other day so much that I'm going to do another podcast on it, but I've already done one on it, so I thought I'd replay this one for you and then update it. And what happened was I was listening to a great podcast. It's on the Tim Ferriss podcast with Rennie Brown, and there was so much good stuff in it, with the exception of one thing. They were talking about how you deal with negative emotions and, you know, the stuff in your life that maybe you don't want. And they were going, oh, well, it gets so bad before it gets better. It'll get so painful before it gets better. You have to unpack everything. You have to go and see somebody, and you're going to have to lay all this bare before you can get better. I'm sorry. I love what Rennie Brown does. I love what Tim Ferriss does. But that is not true. You don't have to lay everything bare. Because when you do therapy the way we do therapy, you can do it content free for a start, which means the unconscious mind resolves the issues. You don't have to go back through that old trauma. So here's the thing. I want you to listen, if that's okay, to the replay of a previous podcast, and then when I get my head together in a real way, I'll revise it, update it. I also mentioned in the podcast there's a previous podcast I did about what to expect when going to a therapist. That's hashtag 24. I forget what it is on other podcasts, so have a listen to that too. I might update that one as well. We'll just see how we go. But up to now, have a listen to this. I think there is no need to suffer pain and hurt and grief and any of those negative emotions that you suffered before. There's no need to re-suffer it to learn by it. There is no need. Oh, that gets me. Have a listen now. Oh, the heads up to this, well, slightly longer podcast, but it's all about mental health and my encouragement to anybody who suffers from that horrible label of mental health issues. I get quite passionate about this. Well, I am passionate about it. But please do listen, because even if you don't, have mental health issues, we all know somebody who's pretty close by normally who do, and it would help them for you to listen. Okay? Anyway, have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hi guys, Paul here from Personal Development Unplugged. So glad you could be here. And I'm so glad I can be here. And I've been listening to one or two podcasts and things like that, and I'm generally in the same genre of personal development, same self-help and things like that. And I'm hearing there's so much mental health issues going around. So many people suffering from mental health issues. And first of all, I've talked about this before, I really feel sometimes even putting the label mental health issues, that can even be negative. Yeah, sometimes we have a label which makes us feel, well, at least I've got something I can hang my hat on. If you had a hat, you can hang it on that. But the thing is, when we're happy and confident and just exactly the way we want to be, do we walk around telling people, oh, I'm in good mental health? No, you just say, I just feel good. So maybe the way we feel is just the way we feel. And if you want to label it mental health, okay, fine, it gives somewhere to go. But thinking of that, first of all, I have this need inside me to help people to get over their issues. I do it with my hypnosis, my NLP, my timeline therapy. I do it in my own clinic. I do it online. And this is not a thing, but I'm not unusual, because there's so many people like me, do things like me, and get results like me. And I'll tell you about those results soon. Because first of all, whether you like that term mental health or not, I just have a real simplistic way of looking at these things. If you don't like the way you're feeling, you can change it. You can change the way you feel. Simples. That's easy. You can change. Okay, I've got to tell you the how in a minute, but it can be done. I've seen it so many times. In fact, you've done it yourself on many occasions when you've been feeling maybe a little bit down and someone says, hey, let's do something. You go, oh yeah, that's brilliant. You've changed your state in a moment. Thing is, we need to be able to change from maybe more negative states into more positive states and stay in them. And I'll talk about that shortly. But the other thing is, I also believe you can change the way you behave. Because sometimes the way we react, can cause us to have issues. And normally they are intertwined with the way that you feel. And sometimes what you believe. And if we have those things that we call those identity beliefs and they're negative, I'm not worthy, which makes me, feel down, feel sad, feel depressed, which means, my behavior is really, really lethargic. I don't do anything. Boom. They're all intertwined. But you change one, you change them all. They have to change. Change them all. Boom. And they're all changeable. You can change what you like. The thing is, even though I said you do this yourself, it's a natural process. People change the way they feel in moments every day. See a child. 1 minute they're crying. Next minute they're smiling. They don't have those limitations that we put on. They haven't got those beliefs, so they just change their emotions. They also then change the way they behave. 1 minute they're sulking. Next minute they're playing. It's that easy once you know how. But the thing is, sometimes when things are a little bit deeper and a little bit more heavier maybe, you need help to do that. So I'm going to repeat a couple of those things. You can change the way that you feel when you want to. You can change the way you behave if you want to. And you can change what you believe. But sometimes you need some help. And we'll talk about what type of help that is. Because I've been really concerned that of how help has been described on some of these podcasts, which are supposedly giving people advice. And I just feel, whoa, that's one area of advice. I don't know where their experience comes from. Maybe they haven't experienced it the way I've experienced it. And that's all we can do, is how whatever we perceive, we project. But the thing is, you have to be comfortable with how you feel. And if you're not comfortable with how you feel or how you're behaving, you have to realize no one can make you change. No one can do it for you. Okay, when you go and see a therapist or, a hypnotist or things, there's not a lot of work you have to do, but you have to do the work. It is not a magic click of the things. In fact, on my website, we say, we're not magicians. We don't have a magic wand. We don't wave it and, oh, my life's different. But what we do seems to have that, it feels like magical, because things can change so quickly. But the thing is, you have to take that action. No one can make you take that action. In fact, when I'm talking to my clients, in like an initial consultation, I want to know why they're here. And are they doing it for themselves, or has someone told them to come? Because sometimes people say, oh, you've got to go and see a hypnotist. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And they don't really want to be there. But they'll do it just for the sake of getting out of that ear bashing. And I want to know and make sure that the person sitting in front of me is taking responsibility. Because that's the problem. A lot of times we make excuses. And they are just excuses. I'll do it when I've got time, or I can't afford it. I can't find somebody. I can't. It's not for me. I don't think I'll ever be hypnotized. Everyone can be hypnotized, by the way, when they want to be. When the outcome is something they really want, that's what we'll get. It's just intention. We've talked about intention so many times. You set your intention. And what is intention? I've been framing that lately as the will to do whatever it takes. Because when you've got the will to do whatever it takes, then you're believing. You're believing that you can achieve that outcome. Some way, hell or high water, you will get there. And that to me is taking responsibility. You've decided to take action and you've got all that positive intention. But the thing is, you have to do it. So no one can do it for you. Yeah, sometimes you might have to do it and get someone to pay for you. But ideally, you have to pay for it in some way to give it value. And that's the thing. And I'm not on about massive. There's different ways you can do things. I know you can if you really want things. There's so many good people around. But you see, knowing is up to you, because we talk about cause and effect. And I've always said, the problems that we have are effects, and we go to the cause. But if you are not feeling as good as you want to feel, and it's more consistent, so you want to change, and if you're not behaving the way you want to behave and enjoy life, then you have to take responsibility. You can't blame it on other things. You can't blame it on the economy. You can't blame it because you can't find the right amount of work, or I haven't got this, I haven't got that. Because at the end of the day, it is down to us to take responsibility. If only the responsibility to say, I'm going to take action. I'm going to do whatever it takes. That to me is then taking action. You're taking responsibility, and then you've come to the cause side, and there's no more excuses, because the effects of the cause are just excuses if you still live with them. And I know it's a hard, a bit of tough love, because people will cry, and they'll cry about the position they're in, which is okay, because it is a sad place to be. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to do something about it. We can support them. And if it was you have to do something about it, and we will support you, and you'll find people who will. So, before you decide you've had enough, you have to decide, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. I'm going to take responsibility somehow, some way. I'm going to do this. Because that's it. That's when you can say, I've had enough. No more. Because that just sets a different tone. But the thing is, what we also need to realize is, if we're feeling negative in any way with these mental health issues, in my world of therapy, my world of the way I work is, and we've talked about it before, there's an intention. There's an intention why you're doing this. But it's outmoded. It's an intention that when you first ever decided to do this way, to feel this way, to behave this way, to believe those negative limiting decisions, you did it for the most wonderful reason, but also you did it with the wisdom and experience that you had back then. The thing is, your unconscious mind keeps doing the same thing over and over again and misses out the wealth of experiences, the wealth of learnings, the wealth of knowledge that you have between that very first time and now, and never really tries to change it. And that's what the therapist will help you do, and show the unconscious mind that, yeah, we want to keep the intention, but I just want it in a different way, because at the moment, the way you're doing it is in total conflict. In fact, the big thing is the intention is not being honored and is not being got anymore, because some things like the intention might be to save you being hurt. So it stops you doing things. It stops you going out. It makes you feel bad, because when you feel bad or down, you won't go out and do things. If you have a I'm not worthy belief, I'm not good enough belief, add that to the mix, then you won't go out and do things. So you'll get hurt, and or you won't get hurt because you'll stay confined. Those behaviors will be staying close by, not doing anything. The thing is, when you're in that position, what do you feel? You feel totally hurt and unsafe because you're not doing the things you want to do. And it's when your unconscious mind goes, oh, damn, doe, I want to stop you from being hurt, but the very things I'm doing now is actually causing that hurt. And when it does that, I believe, and especially with the room and the therapist, and there's a good therapist, your unconscious mind goes, well, just show me in a better way. If you can show me better ways, and the better ways are inside you anyway. I don't believe therapists can say, well, do this and do that. I know some do, and they get some good results, but I don't think that's probably the best way, because I believe you've got all the resources you ever need inside you. You've got them. You're just not using them. You're not accessing them. So what we do is we get your unconscious mind to notice it has a conflict. We're going to honor that intention. So it goes, yeah, I'll work with you. And then it goes, well, help me find those different ways. And with some wonderful processes and going inside with hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy, your unconscious mind learns how to do things differently. It can practice it. Practice it by going through the future in hypnosis and work out ways that it can really create new ways of being, new ways to feel, new ways to believe, and new ways to behave that are better than the old ways, or say that again clearer, better than the old ways, and keep the intention of keeping you from being hurt and things like that. But it does cost. And I think that's been, I hear some people say, oh, it's very expensive. I have problems with expensive because it's compared to what? And what value? What value do you put on changing the way you're feeling, being, acting, believing, and actually having the life you want? What's the value of having that as opposed to having this old way? Now, the thing is, you think, what's the value of being able to deal with your stress easier? What would that allow you to do in the rest of your life? What's the value of not being out of control with alcohol, with drugs? What's the value of being clean from drugs, being able to have a drink if you want to drink, but never being out of control? What's the value of changing from having low self-esteem and being unconfident to being confident and feeling the real you, having that inner strength? What's the value of being able to be the weight and shape that you want to be? Now, to me, and everyone I've talked to, the value of any one of those, if you have that type of problem, is far more than you would ever pay for. So let's that cost equals value, that's out. But then you can say, okay, Cluffy, it's all right for you to say, but I can't afford it. Well, here's the thing. Most people can afford it. It's a matter of prioritizing. Most people have got a lot of other things going on, got a lot of accounts and subscriptions, but they're not making the difference. So cancel those for a moment and get yourself sorted. Once you're sorted, you'll have even more to do that other stuff. But even that, you can say, okay, Cluffy, but that's so simple and you're being a little bit on the high ground there. I want you to think, well, first of all, if you find a good therapist, the number one belief I've heard, and this is a bit what really got my goat, and when I was when I was listening to these things, is it takes a long time to change. Therefore, if it takes a long time to change and you need to have a lot of sessions with a therapist, and I was in my 6th month with a therapist, and I'm thinking, what the hell were you doing for 5.5 months? Because that's not how therapy should, in my world, how therapy should go. And if you find that type of therapist who can help you change, find the way you want to go in 1, 2, or 3 sessions, then how much would that cost? Okay, you've got to take the responsibility to find that person. I haven't seen anybody in more than 3 sessions for years. My son only ever works with 3 sessions at the most. My other son generally just works with somebody 1 time. I know so many other people that use NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy that get their results in no longer. Sometimes they might take 4 or 5, but generally it's a lot shorter than that. So all you have to do is find that person. How do you find that person? You look around for those type of credentials and then ask them, how long do you think it will take? Now, they're never going to be able to say it's going to take you 2 sessions, 3 sessions, but they'll say you should be finding a real difference after the 1st and 2nd sessions, and we should be able to wrap it up by 3. And if we're not, something is wrong. So they're actually not going to keep saying, well, I've heard some people say that generally it's going to take between 12 to 15 sessions, and you won't feel any difference until round about the 9th session. And I'm going, what? Well, I just can't believe that. I also know they're quite cheap. But the thing is, you multiply that by 12 to 18 sessions, and that don't work out cheap anymore. And plus, you have been there for something like nearly half a year, 1/3 of a year. That's crazy. So you look around, you find the right person, and those type of people are everywhere. So that's the BS about how long it takes. So that's one thing about the cost equals the value. But cost-wise, I believe that those type of people who are really good at the art and science of this change work get it done in short ways, but they also have this like moral compass as well, because they love serving people. They love doing it quickly. They love getting the results. They like the magic of being in the room with their clients and seeing them change in front of their eyes. And I know generally people have sliding scales. And if you generally can't afford it, they'll find a way that you can. Not many people will turn you away. There's always somebody you can find which will help. I have a sliding scale, my son does, if you generally can't afford it. We've been bitten on the bum a few times by people who said they're not working. And then we've said, well, we'll offer you a concessionary rate. And then they've turned up in this massive car. And they're quite right. They do not work. But their partner does, and they earn a fortune. And that's like taking a pee a little bit. But hey, I'd rather get burnt a couple of times and be able to help the genuine people, than not even try. And I think there's so many other people just like that. So for the right person, with the right person, I reckon, everyone can afford the change. You can find a way. Other people worry, they go, well, if I go and see a therapist, what happens if all other black stuff comes out? If I open the box and I'm going, well, what box is that? What black stuff is that? Why would it? If you're feeling depressed, low self-esteem, unconfident, there's generally very little black stuff around that. Most people just want to know, how do you feel? How do you do what you do? How do you want to feel? And have you got the will to do whatever it takes? We'll work out the rest. We'll get your unconscious mind to learn what it needs to learn and be able to change. Very rarely does that, with the right therapist, does that stuff come out. And if it does come out, it's because it's the right time, the right place, and you're with the right person to get it out. It's like your unconscious mind goes, this is the place. I've worked with a few people who they've broken down in tears just as we start, and they go, I never cry about this stuff, but I still feel in the right place, and it isn't scary. You're there, you're with someone who cares, and it's just something we're just going to get done, and we do it, and you're in the safest hands possible. And then, to be honest, it's not unsafe. I don't think so anyway. Not the way I've been working. So, with the right person, they look after you. They do not probe into the things that don't need probing into. I know I've worked with people who have been abused, and we've been working on other stuff, and they said, oh, I was really worried that abuse would come and rear its head again. I said, well, have you dealt with it? I said, yeah. Well, why would it come up? It's not part of the subject matter. It's been done. It's been dealt with. Not part of the issue. Therefore, it's not part of the issue. Why would we go there? Really think. If you're feeling this way, I just want to let you know. I want to give you confidence. I'd love to record some of my clients' sessions, but obviously I can't because of confidentiality. And that's the other thing. Every session should be completely confidential. So if anything did come up, it stays in the room. And then when you leave the room, it stays in that room. But so many of us therapists, with the way we work content free, which means you don't have to say anything. Okay, you have to say how you like to feel and things like that, but you don't have to impart loads of private stuff if you don't feel comfortable doing it. I can remember working with a few clients that I don't even know what their problem was. I just know they were breaking down in tears in front of me because they were that down. And at the end of that session, they weren't like that. And they changed. I've even been in the situation where I was working with a client a long time ago. And this is when my son was probably about 19. So he's excellent, by the way. Well, both of mine in this thing, they really are excellent. But this particular example is, he was only 19. He'd only been doing this work for about a year, but he was excellent. And I was working with a particular man, a businessman, who said, I want to work with you because you're my age, Paul. We seem to have the same values. We got a real good rapport connection going. And we did some work, and I said, but the thing is, I'm on holiday for the next couple of weeks, so you can't see me. He said, well, I really need to see somebody. So I said, okay, see my son. He said, he's only 19. He won't understand this. He doesn't need to understand. He doesn't even need to know the problem. He'll be able to work with you content free. We have ways of just allowing you and your unconscious mind to ask you questions that you can answer inside, and processes that you get your unconscious mind to respect those questions, answer those questions. It's all there for you. Don't worry about anything. Just be open and honest and tell people if you're feeling worried about things. Get them to explain to you. Because you see, I really feel it should be fun as well. Yeah, we should have serious fun, but it's not as you go and I want you to be more confident, because that's as boring as shit. It really is. Sorry, excuse me swearing. I actually swear with my clients sometimes because that's where we are. So it should be fun. It shouldn't be dreary. And it's not just relaxation, because if you get people who just relax you, yeah, they might be good at relaxation, but we want you to get rid of that problem. So talk to people, see how many sessions do they usually have with clients. And one of the main things that I always believe in is, and we've talked about it quite a few times even now, someone who deals with the root cause. Because if you deal with the root cause, that's how things change quickly. That's all it is. I mean, if you really want to know more about this, and not the actual thing about working with clients, but if you want to know more about positive intention, how these things are working for you, sign up to my Free Your Life of Anxiety course, because the first 5 days are absolutely free. And in those first 5 days, it's an explanation of what is happening in your world and how it can change. You don't have to go through the next part of the paid thing. If you do, you do. But if you don't, then I'm really suggesting just go through the first 5 days to understand, and then find, ideally, a one-to-one therapist. Yeah, it's more expensive than my course, but one-to-one I think is better. But if not, it's there. But just get a clear understanding, because then you'll really know that things don't take such a bloody long time as people keep saying. Because people relate time to money, long time, lots of money, can't afford it, therefore that even makes you feel worse. And I want to encourage you to go, I'm going to change. I will do whatever it takes. And that's all it is. If you find the right person that you're comfortable with, that's one of the biggest things. So you're comfortable with them, you're comfortable with what they say, and it feels right, go with them. And make sure that they're comfortable with you, that they can help you. They feel they can help you because that's what they've done with other people. That's what it's all about. But I just want to reiterate, all this stuff is, don't get sucked in, please, of this BS that it takes a long time to change. The hardest thing to do, and it's the easiest thing to do, is that first thing. Get to that place where you've just had enough. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. And if you want, just take those 5, the 5 keys to success, but this is the 5 keys to finding the right therapist to make the change. Know your goal. I want to find a therapist, and I want to find out all these things. Now you've got your goal. Take action. Start talking to people. Have your list of what the questions you want to ask. Go and see people. Don't necessarily choose the first one, but go and see people. Get the right feeling. And keep taking that action. And if things don't quite work out, be aware that you haven't found the right person. Be aware that you haven't asked the necessary questions. So you can be flexible enough to start asking the right questions, looking elsewhere, asking friends, asking different people. And act with that psychology and physiology is that you're prepared to do whatever it takes. You do those, and mental health issues, let's just knock it into the past. And that's where they should be, in the past. In the past it was bad, but today it is awesome. Yeah, we might trip up along the way, but that's life. It happens, but it's how we get up, and we will get up. But I don't know what, I've written these notes, but I've gone off-piste a little bit, because it does rile me so much that some people say things, maybe from their experience, but they're saying it as gospel, and it's not necessarily the right answer. It can be, whilst it's said in an encouraging way, it's not encouraging. And I want to encourage you to get your dreams. You hear me say that so many times. Encourage you to get your dreams, and if your dreams are, at the moment, I can't think about goals, Paul. I can't think about dreams because I just don't feel that good. Then take action to change the way you feel, because as I said before and repeated before, you can change the way you feel. You can change the way you behave, and you can change your beliefs. All you have to do is take that responsibility to find a way. I've given another podcast a long time ago about how to find the right therapist, what to ask. You can look that up. If you want me to do it again, I can do it again, because things change in my mind as things go on. Just send me an email, feedback@personaldevelopment If you've got any questions on this, send me an email at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Simples. I know when we're feeling down, it's really hard. I've been there. But I also knew, because I'd been there and I knew with the skills I got, I knew there was a way out and it didn't have to be a long way. And you can do the same. Now, the thing about this is, maybe you're saying to me, okay, Cluffy, I've listened to all of this, but I haven't got an issue. I'm feeling good. Well, that's awesome. That's how you should be. But the thing is, sometimes things come along in life and trip us up, and you may need this type of information. But on the other hand, I really hope that never happens, by the way. I want you to grow and learn, and all the things from these podcasts are helping you to build firmer foundations to take you further and further towards your goals and past your goals, really. But also, you may know somebody. You may know somebody who is just not in the right space, they're just not there. So share this with them. Share the knowledge. Even if you don't share the podcast, tell them the information I've just passed over to you. Because you will never know. I say this again every week. You will never know how far the ripples of change will go. And if this is that one thing of selfless service that you do, by paying it forward, you will create a whole storm of change, positive change. And that's what we're here for, isn't it? And sometimes, people won't tell you, but you can read the signs. You can read their non-verbals, their posture, the tone of voice. Ask them what they've done over the weekend. Ask them how do you feel? And be genuine about it. And when they need to say that, or you just don't look yourself. Have you ever thought about this? But hey. And they'll probably say, no, I'm fine. But in the quietness of their private life, they'll have a look. And you can know you've done something really good, which is what it's all about, isn't it? Sharing, making a difference, and do it all for, no sense of return. You don't have to return on this. Because the trouble is about this thing, I don't want any payment for this, but you'll get it. Because that's what the world does to you. That's what the universe, multiverse will do. The more kind you are, things just happen to be kinder to you. It's quite weird. The more you do things for selfless service, the more things you get a richer life. It's awesome. The more we do, the more we seem to get back. Anyway, that's enough from me. But if you do, like I said, it's enough for me and I'm still talking, aren't I? But, I just want you to think. Never put up. Don't be a kinetic. I'll say that again. Don't be an adult about this. Don't put up with it. That's what adults do. They put up with that type of rubbish. Don't put up with it. Make a decision. Decide. I've had enough. Enough's enough. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. And boom, take that action. Anyway, I'm going to climb off this soapbox. I hope I've helped. I hope I've given some information and encouragement. If I have, again, send me that feedback. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's the email. All totally confidential. Anyway, have more fun than you can stand. And talking to your unconscious mind. What would it be like if you surprised them with being happy for no reason? In all different times of the day, every day, I wonder. And let that wonder just fly. Anyway, I'll speak to you later. Cluffy going over and out. Ta-da. Whoa. Just before you go, if you would, just bear with me for one moment. Well, about a minute. Because I have a very important personal request from old Cluffy here to you. I'd like you to do one very big favour for me. In fact, it's only a little favour, but it'll have a huge effect and certainly affect my gratitude immensely. Will you go to iTunes? And if you're not on iTunes, the player of your choice, but especially iTunes, go to iTunes and complete one of those reviews. The ones with the 5 stars and just a little bit of typing to show people and tell people exactly the thing that you love about this Personal Development Unplugged podcast. Because when you do, it does wonderful things because it will help grow the audience. Okay, you can say, well, that's your ego, Paul. But it isn't. It is a little bit, because I love speaking to so many people. But it also means that you are sharing the word and making a difference to those people. So when they read them, they go, oh, I'll have a listen to this. And that makes this podcast a little bit more popular. And if they share it and pay it forward and do the exact same thing, we're going to get noticed as a big community of change makers. Because that's who you are. Changing yourselves and being the change you want to see in others. And all it takes is that one little 5-star review. Well, it could be 5-star, could be whatever star you think is most applicable to you. If you do that, I would be absolutely awesomely gratitudinal. If that's a word, gratitudinal. So, anyway, until the next time, and you'll probably hear this again, but please do. A little favour for Cluffy. I'd be most grateful. Until then, or till the next time. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.